Hi, everybody. I'm Margaret Briggs with MAFA, and we are here at MAFA 2023. So we are trying for the first time to do a sort of a Zoom video version of our Open Studio tour, both for those who are here on campus who maybe can't make it all the way around or want to see some things that they can't, but also we're recording this so the instructors who have to stay in their classroom to greet all the visitors, they can see what's happening in the other classrooms. Some of my volunteers, they didn't quite follow through with being ready to do video, but Marcelin's got some video snippets. Part one, she tells me, oh, there's Patty in the vendor halls coming in. And so we'll have part two up later. So we'll have some YouTube links to be able to see snippets of almost all of the classes on campus. And so, yeah, I'm here in Luke Hall. Marcelin's over in the Hash building. I'm going to walk into Catherine Weber's studio in a minute and we'll see what she has to say. When Patty gets connected, she's down in the vendor hall. But again, anybody else who's here on campus, again, we'd love to have you just turn your video on and we can spotlight and see what you're working on. Anybody? Do I have any takers? Anybody? There's Patty. Okay, you know what, Patty, you willing to go first? Oh my,
sure.
Okay, hang on. I got to spotlight Patty.
I don't know if you can see.
All right,
oh, I'm terrible at this. My date tonight.
Yeah, Patty's in the vendor hall with George.
George is in the vendor hall.
Can you pan around and give us a shot of the
I'm going to run around and show you.
Okay, good.
Take a picture of you.
No, it's okay. I'm doing.
Oh, do you mind
hi,
walking?
Everybody. Hey.
Hi, Chris. Can you walk by Theta's exhibit?
I will.
Oh. So this was really cool because we have the Free Your Mind interactive exhibit, and I know that Marcia's going to have an interview, and she's going to have a better treatment of it. So hi, Theta.
I don't know. Can you see the?
Yeah, you can see, but get up close so they can read what's on there.
Yeah, and we'll have Marcelin's detailed interview that'll be coming up a little bit later. So everybody at the conference can come and share their thoughts and add it to the exhibit. We have.
You're on Zoom.
All right, Patty, maybe pan around a little to your left. Oops. A little to your left. Now we're seeing, oops. I think your camera's flipped. There we go. So we have 18 vendors this time. Last night we had our music, and things are kind of quiet down there because the vendors are all getting ready to pack up tonight and head home. So Patty, thank you. I'm going to switch over to Marce in the Hash building. Marcelin, if you're ready.
I am. Good evening, everybody. I hope you all have been enjoying some of the snippets from Instagram. And if you haven't, you should follow MAFA Fiber on Instagram because there's some good views of what's been happening this week over there. So I'm going to step back so I make sure I get this right. I am in the Weaving with Linen classroom. This is Susan Conover's class. Susan's actually here as expected, open studio, and there's also a student here. So I'm going to go and interrupt them. All right. Oh, thanks. So we've got a good number of people with us, Susan. So you want to just introduce yourself and the class and tell us a little bit about how it went today? And yesterday.
Yeah, I'm Susan Conover. I'm from Northeastern Ohio, and I love linen, and I love sharing my love of linen with anyone who will sit long enough to listen to me. And in this class, we're focusing on dressing the linen with a linen warp and starting a sampler for Huck Lace.
Excellent.
Swedish linen. With Swedish linen.
Now I'm going to turn the spotlight on your student. Would you please introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Kathy Reed, and I have been thoroughly introduced to lined linen and warping to get think I'm always gonna work with cotton now.
Okay, okay. You have
I'm
been
really
changed.
I have been, no, this is really, really exciting,
Excellent.
intense, and I'm looking forward to more.
Wonderful. Where is your loom? Can we see your project in progress? Is this it here?
You're looking at it.
Okay.
It's all about warping.
Do you see this hands-on instruction
I
happening?
know. If
That's
you act
fantastic.
pitiful long enough, they come and help you.
Wonderful. I'm going to, I love it. I'm going to walk around the room and I'd love to share some samples.
Sure.
Yeah, there's some beautiful samples around.
Samples up here.
This has been my favorite part of visiting classes this week is seeing the teachers' inspiration pieces for the students. So any weavers out there, I'm sure you'll recognize a lot of this. For me, it's new. I've learned to say I'm not a weaver yet. Give me time. Give me time. But looking at the kinds of fabric you can make has my head just full of ideas. So I'm at the front of the classroom, and like many of the classes here, if you haven't been to MAFA before, they're spacious. There's plenty of room to see things like this laid out. There's plenty of room for your equipment, and then for students to move around. So now I'm going to kind of pan so you can see some of the room set up.
Right. No, so
Wish you were here. So I'm on a floor that has a few other classes. So you let me know. Let me know, Margaret, if you just want me to move on to the next one or.
Yeah, go ahead and let's see some other classes there. And after we go through a couple there, then I'll walk into a couple of classrooms here.
Okay, walk with me, walk with me. The convenient thing about this hall is that the classes are right next to each other. So now we're going to go into, I'm not going to pronounce this correctly, but it's a contemporary tapestry class. And we're going to make sure that the instructor gives you some better information than I could at this point. Oh, good. There's some visitors already. Are you the instructor by any chance over here? Okay, I'm going to find the instructor. Hang on.
Figured out, okay, what do I do now to apply it, you know, and now tomorrow we leave on it, so.
I'm looking for Elizabeth, the
Hi.
instructor. Hello,
Oh,
Elizabeth.
hi.
How are you? We're on Zoom
Oh,
so that folks who are not physically here with us can have a bit of the open studio experience.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Thought to do this.
Yes, I got to give credit. This is Margaret's idea. So would you mind just introducing yourself and telling us a bit about your class?
Sure. I'm Elizabeth Buckley, and this is a tapestry class. We're studying a specific kind of French shading technique called contures. Kind of like hatching, but a little more formalized. And it's a technique that has lots of versatility once you understand the structure of how it works. You can basically turn a flat circle into a three-dimensional sphere. You can create drape of fabric, folds, undulations, transparency, and all kinds of color blending with it. So they're having fun and learning all kinds of things.
Excellent. Have you had some first timers in your class this year?
Probably we
Yeah.
should introduce ourselves whether we are first timers or not. So I
Gotcha.
don't know who all is. Okay. we've got a
Oh.
first time.
I'm swinging around. You knew this was coming. Is this your first time at MAFA or your first time with this technique or both?
Both.
Wow, that's excellent. Well,
Yep.
welcome.
Thank you.
And what's your name?
Camelin Leon. I'm from Charlottesville, Virginia.
Excellent. So what is your, what are you taking with you from the class experience this week?
Well, the first thing I'm taking with me is that hatching is different than hachure. And even though I had read all the books and watched the video, I just didn't get it until I was with Elizabeth and in class. So
Well
that's
done,
the first
Elizabeth.
thing. Yeah. The whole idea of blending, I don't really, I haven't really blended in the past.
I
just
see.
Single colors. So this is really interesting to me.
Fantastic. May I take a close-up view of your work?
Oh, well, right now my work looks just like a blue booby, but it's not. A blue
That's what the
booby.
people came to see. I love the blending that you just mentioned
But
because I can really see some of it
Here's
here.
here's the hachure.
Okay.
And then I'm creating negative space with this, and I'm trying to do the knee of a lion.
So
which
you've
may have
taken
been a
just a
little-
snippet of this
Yeah,
to try to
yes.
recreate it?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
incredible.
Yeah.
Wonderful. What do you guys think? Shout us out in the chat. I think it's great. Some
Yeah,
wonderful work.
check it out.
We'll take a look at some other samples that the students have put out here. I think some students are visiting the classes that they may have wanted to take.
Yes, this one she's doing so also some transitional blending as she gradates her colors and playing with
Gorgeous.
how that works. Yes.
So Elizabeth, how did you come to this work?
Well, I've been weaving since I was 10 years old, and tapestry has always been my primary love. And at some point in time, I really wanted to learn the French tapestry techniques. It just looked like the direction I needed to go in terms of improving my skills and the visions I kept having of what I wanted to do with my work. I knew these techniques would allow me to have that ability to do it. So I studied with Jean-Pierre Larochette and Yael Lurie in a series of workshops about 1 year apart. And then I had the opportunity to go to France and study with masters there. So what I'm teaching in this workshop is an accumulation of things I've learned from master weavers I've studied with both in Aubusson and in Beauvais, France, as well as Jean-Pierre Larochette and Yael Lurie.
Amazing. And you're bringing that part of the world to your students, which I think is
Absolutely.
such an important part of these kinds of workshops.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that. I hope some of you are feeling inspired by this. I'm going to take a view of some of the materials, and I'm guessing that you put these out for your students
Yes,
to
with yarn,
do some color play. Okay.
They can have a bunch of range to work with both the values of the family as well as the rainbow spectrum.
I find that when you put out a rainbow of colors, everyone feels like there's something for them to work
Yes.
with.
Yes.
And if you're like me, you always gravitate to the same color, but I've noticed some students branching out in other
Yes,
classes.
They're also here exploring different color combinations they normally wouldn't use.
I
And
love
so
that.
that's given this a good opportunity to do that as well.
Beautiful. Anyone out there feeling inspired to try this technique? Where can we find you?
I have a website, www.elizabethbuckleytapestryartist.com.
Excellent. Thank you for that. And you've got some other students that are still working away here.
Yes, Miriam worked through the supper hour here at her room.
I had to stay after school.
Oh, okay. Okay. You're going for extra credit. I
Right,
see
right.
what's happening here. Okay. Beautiful. Thank you all so much for letting us visit with you.
Thank you.
And I'll just chime in to say that all of our instructors, if you look up the workshops on our website, we've got the instructor bios and links to their websites, and everybody can check them out on their social media.
Good stuff. All right. Thank you all so much. Have a great evening.
Because this is my days. I'm sorry.
And we're walking and we're walking. Let's see, next door. Coming down towards the end of this hallway, split shed weaving, one threading multiple structures. So this is the third of the four classes on this floor.
Yes.
See what we can find.
It doesn't go anywhere. No. it stays flat.
Sorry, I keep putting my big fingers in the way, everybody. I just want to make sure that you can see what I'm seeing. Okay.
Right, yeah.
So this time I'm going to start with the samples because that's the first thing that greets me coming in.
Right, there it is.
Okay, I see some drawings here and I'm going to ask how these are being used. Maybe some of you already know if you're familiar with what's happening here. Just some different shapes. I have a feeling we're going to see how that applies to this weaving technique. Here comes some samples.
Like an advanced student.
So I have the advantage of being able to touch some of these textures. Oh my goodness. These are some showpieces. There's a beautiful set of squares here with different motifs. And some equipment. Now, remember, I said I'm not a weaver yet, but these are shuttles, or somebody shout me out if I'm messing it up. What are these? Reeds? I'm making up words at this point. I love it. So I'm going to imagine that the students in this class had a lot of inspiration to work from, because I'm seeing some really, really lovely weaving work. And some of it looks like the texture is actually coming up off the fabric. Okay, let's see what else we can find out about this. Find our teacher. So I'm seeing a few people in each of the rooms, Margaret. So I think open studio is a great idea. Folks are coming to check it out. Several looms set up. Okay.
All right, and you've got one more classroom up on that
I
floor when we're
do.
done with split shed. Yeah,
Yeah.
these are the textures and the colors on this are really amazing.
I've heard of people, like to do a 5-shaft house. Instead of, if you only have a 4-shaft loom, to use a split shed where you have one shed that's not threaded. And then you can go up or below it.
So this has been my job all weekend, is to just be nosy. To use my camera and be nosy. I'm Marcelin, and we're on Zoom right now with some folks who couldn't be here with us in person. Yes, we'd love to know who you are and just hear a little bit about your class.
I'm Deborah Silver. I teach split shed weaving. It's all for 4 shafts. It's just a straight threading all the way across, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can apply it to lots of different weave structures. We do double weave in here. You can blend colors. If you go to the one behind you, you'll see a blended where you have 2 wefts in 1 row.
And someone's creating what looks like a delicious pear. Oh my
Okay,
goodness.
and the fact that this is all done with 4 shafts for weavers, this is sort of mind blowing.
Wow. Okay. So we know that you've done your job this weekend, because we can see that on these looms.
Everybody's got a little something different happening.
I love it. What's something you'd like your students to leave with from taking your class?
I just want them to know that they can weave any shape they would like to, and that you can weave shapes in a lot of different weave structures. You can apply it to so many different types. You can do tide weaves like summer and winter, twills, piqué, waffle weave. There's just so many applications.
I love it. And one last question. What are you working on right now?
I just finished this gigantic piece that's 6.5 by 7.5 feet tall.
So just a little something, just a small something.
From September to February.
Oh my goodness. And is this a class sample that you're doing here?
This is one of my students' pieces.
Oh,
So,
beautiful.
it is in a 4-tie twill.
Beautiful color combination. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank
I hope you
you.
have a good open studio night.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So you could see another nice, big, spacious classroom. It's wonderfully cool in here, Margaret. I'm loving it.
Yeah, I know. Wait till you go across the hall.
It's nice and cool in here, lots of space. Okay, let's see what we can see next door.
So while you're walking, I'm going to say, if anybody has joined our Zoom who's on campus and is willing to turn your video on for a minute, then we'll share wherever you are and you can show us what classroom you're in. And so far, I haven't had any takers. Everybody seems to be shy tonight.
They're
So
all
either
gathered
just raise
over
your hand,
beautiful Sam.
raise your hand or pop something in the chat and we'll spotlight you.
So this class is number 4 of 4 up here. It's Evening Bags to Market Bags by Diane Totten. I hope I'm not butchering that.
And where have they all gone?
I can see one student and our instructor in here, and I see tables set up with sewing machines, some irons. I'm gonna see if I see some samples. We can start there.
Yes, I would just do it.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
So I have a weak spot for bags and totes and any kind of useful container. So you guys might not see me after this. I might just hang out in here. Some gorgeous woven fabrics and bags of different shapes and sizes. Oh, wonderful. This one really catches my eye. And as the course title said, some very different styles in here. This is lovely. This looks maybe like a crossbody bag with leather-like material. Beautiful. Let's find our instructor. May I interrupt you for a moment?
Hello.
Hello there, Joan. I'm looking, are you the instructor?
No,
Oh, this is the instructor here, Diane. I thought so. Okay.
Right there.
Oh,
I'll let you focus for a minute. I'm just looking at the sewing machine setup. Hi, Diane.
Hello.
We've got some interested folks on Zoom who just wanted to hear about you and your class. So if you wouldn't mind, you could introduce yourself and tell us what you're teaching this weekend.
I'm Diane Totten, and one of the things I do is teach a bag class, and this one has been just fascinating and fun. I mainly help each person comes in with stuff from their stash
Okay.
or hand woven fabric or purchased fabric. It doesn't make a difference. We're making a bag. Some brought patterns this time, but they're just blowing it out of the park. I had
Awesome.
somebody come over and look at this piece.
I would love to.
This is Diane Field's piece, and a friend gave her a pillow made out of this mud cloth, but the stitching came out, so she took it apart, and it's going to be repurposed to this fabulous bag. She's going to put trim in here. This zipper goes into an outside pocket, then the top is up here
Oh, my.
where this is going to be, it'll be stitched like this. That'll be the top of the bag. This will be the bottom of the bag. The other side is just 3 strips of the mud cloth. But it's, you know, it's repurposing something that, what else would you do with it? You had to do something because it's beautiful stuff. So that's what she's doing with it. And this is fabulous.
Have you been teaching this for quite a while? Is this something?
I
you-
mainly teach crimp cloth, a technique that
Okay.
I developed 12, 14 years ago.
Okay.
That I started teaching.
Yeah.
But this is a little sideline. I kind of call it bags just for fun because it's really fun to see the results.
Yeah.
I also teach a design inlay rug class or rag class where we paint stuff, kind of kindergarten 101, or we paint stuff and inlay it, and that's fun. I taught that here last time.
I love that. I hear a theme in what you're talking about of allowing the maker to choose
Yes,
and allowing them to use what they have. That
Yes.
totally resonates.
it's always come in and play and don't
play.
get serious, other than learn the technique, have fun doing it,
Yes.
and you can't worry about it.
Don't we all need to be reminded of
Yeah.
that
But
sometimes?
here's some more. Here's another. This is Linda's piece. This is a basket, and here's her lining for it. And then here's a bag that she's got a little more top stitching to do, but that's the bag that she did with some of her hand woven, and then this is a faux leather that she's used. This is real leather that her friend who fixes a shoemaker
Wow.
made these straps for her. So that's pretty cool. And then this one over here, this is Sandy's bag. And she loves
Ah,
bugs and stuff. Isn't that cool? And here's, look how she matched
that
that.
is so clever.
And she came in here saying that she really doesn't do much sewing, that she's not much of a
You can't say that anymore.
That's what I told her. I told her that several times. And here's her lining. She'll work on that tomorrow. But isn't that
Very
cute?
nice.
I mean,
It
that's
really
just-
is.
I think it's really, really cool.
I noticed that there are a lot of different styles of bags, but do you find that there are certain techniques that can apply regardless of the style you're after?
You know, each one of them has been kind of a kind of a puzzle. You work it through, and now she came up with a pattern, but we changed some of the design because
Okay.
to make it more functional, you got to think about what your function is.
I love that.
And so it got changed, and really to an easier way of doing it. So
That's a good outcome.
yeah, and this just look right, and she's gonna put some maybe red beads for the eyes here.
A little
and some
embellishment.
black beads here.
There
And I
won't be
don't
another
know,
one
but
like
some
it.
more beads, you know, I think the eyes need some beads.
Yes.
And I think she'll have great fun figuring
You're
that
the
out.
instructor. You
So,
can
yeah,
inspire
so
some of that.
It's been a joy to teach it because each one presented a different, different thinking, think through, how do you solve problems?
Yeah.
Let me think about this, but in that you find a process of how you think through to solve a problem.
Wonderful.
And with everyone different, it adds to the learning, the amount of learning.
I imagine so.
Everyone just different stuff.
Thank you so much for sharing that. It comes through that this is something you love to teach. I can
It's
tell.
fun. I love to teach. So.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for
And I
letting
just
us
teach things I love to do.
that you like to
so-
do. You know what? That's just logical. I
Yeah.
like that. That makes a lot of
But they're
sense.
just blowing it out of the park with doing wonderful things.
I hope some of your students watch the recording and hear you say that.
I'll tell 'em.
Oh, that's excellent. Are you a first timer at MAFA?
I'm on my third time, but this is my
Excellent.
first time, so.
This is your
I'm
first
really a
time?
hand weaver.
Oh my goodness. What has the experience been like for you?
Oh, it's been great. I've learned a lot. I've
Excellent.
learned a lot.
Excellent. What sort of bag are you making?
I'm making a bag that I wove and hand dyed the
Oh, this
material.
color palette is lovely.
And I'm just working on it here.
Yes, I'm going to come in close so we can see some of the weaving. Oh, wow. I love how it's shifting.
Yeah, so thank you.
That is great.
Yeah,
So how are you
so-
feeling about this project? Because I think it looks stunning.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I've had my frustrating moments, but that's part of
Yes.
the learning process, right?
We can relate.
That's
We
why-
can relate.
That's why we're here.
Carry on.
And Diana saved me each time, so.
Thank goodness, right? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Diane, thank you for letting us visit.
Welcome. Thank you. So.
So that covers our second floor set of classes over here in the Hash building.
Martha, thank you so much. I'm going to try and this is going to be a little interesting because I'm walking around with my laptop. I don't have a good, or if I could figure out how to turn the video around, maybe you can tell me if I'm on my phone, how do I turn the video around once I.
On this Zoom, I just found this myself. If you're on the Zoom window, the camera reverse is at the top left. You may have to touch the screen to see the option.
Oh, there it is. All
I
right.
can see that now.
All right.
Yep.
So I'm gonna go mobile and go on into Catherine Weber's studio. Everybody hang loose a second while I go in and see what they're doing in there. And if anybody, again, anybody who's here, oh, she has a YouTube channel. Please start a fiber tour. Everybody go visit Hey Brownberry on YouTube. And what we'll do is we'll put some links up. And when we have all the final videos on this, most of our videos are going to be hosted on her YouTube channel. So you'll be able to check out all of her amazing interviews and fiber tours.
It will be my pleasure to have you all over. Come on over.
All right, everybody hang loose. I'm going to go try and walk across the hall.
I don't hear your audio on the phone, Margaret. Double check that you're not muted on your phone. There she is. Now you're muted, Margaret. I think maybe you have to turn your volume up. Now you're unmuted. Now you're unmuted. So try turning your volume up, or you might just have to do a silent tour.
Yeah, we are.
We'll do hand gestures. Now I hear
I
you.
can hear you. Can you hear me?
I hear you now. Sounds
Okay.
good.
So we're in Catherine Weber's studio. Let me just turn my video around. And so we've gone from some colorful classes over in the Hash building. We're in the Luke building now, and Catherine Weber has brought a whole lot of her beautiful hand-dyed works. These are highly coveted. And so this class, I can tell you, is about how to use the warps and her method for warping. So let me just walk over here and find Catherine.
Margaret, can you highlight or spotlight yourself? Because you're not spotlighted.
Do you know what? Everybody hang loose for a second. And if you guys can pin me for a second, what I did was, I'm going to leave my phone in here, but I got to go back out to my laptop to spotlight myself. See, this is, oops.
Yeah, all I
And
can
I'm-
see is
and I'm walking.
Marceline's
No, I'm
photo picture.
Hold on, sorry about the feedback. That's, okay. Can you still hear me?
Okay, we see Margaret now.
I give the phone back to the person. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I'm happy when you to do finely fine, finely powdered, red, Chantac, quill, and then if you want to double weave. So their samples will be all there. Okay. It's 4.5 warps, so they have enough yarn on there to weave off all the samples and still have 2.5 warps. But 3.5 yards to play with those or bags or whatever.
Hey, Catherine, we're here and we're on Zoom. So we've got some people joining us from at home and from around campus. Can you tell us who you are? Tell us about your class and what you're doing this week.
Well, this has just been fabulous. I'm Catherine Weber. I'm from the mountains of North Carolina. I'm near Asheville. And this class is called Controlling Creative Chaos, which is a great name for it. I think any of my students would agree, because there's certainly a chaotic feel to bringing together so many diverse elements. So the students come with a warp, a dummy warp, a little short warp that's too short to weave, but we tie onto it and we design, we learn how to do sequential threading in terms of color, and then they are just now starting to weave because they took 2 full days just learning the technique, tying on, setting up, and nobody had any notes at all. They just sat at the loom with 3 warps and designed these things. So,
Right. So let's zoom in on one of these.
Yeah.
So I've taken this class before, and I know that what you can do is take 1, 2, 3, a whole bunch of warps. And the idea is to mix and design all the colors in the reed while you're sitting here and pick whatever you want. But you can tell us more about this than I can.
so at this point, what she's done is down here, you can't see it, but she started weaving with just an 8/4, which is in the scheme of things, that's a pretty fine yarn because these are very heavy warps. And that just spread it and helped, her see what she was doing. Then this right here is rib, and all it is, it's plain weave, but with a heavy weft. So it's a heavyweight weft like this, but with just the heavy. Okay, and then she went into rep. So now this is a heavy with a fine, okay? So this is creating blocks at this point, and she's still playing with that. Then she's going to go from this for her sample into turn tackete, and she's going to do a 2-block turn tackete and then a 4-block turn tackete. And she has designed this so when she starts weaving that, she'll have floating blocks of color that will only show up when she gets to that. And then if she chooses to, which I hope she will, because it's in her notes of what I'm asking her to do, is she will also then try twill, she'll try whatever she wants to. She can, and this is heavy enough, she can do a double weave.
I'm also going to show people, this is all the same warp. So this is on the front of the loom. So the very same warps, the colors change as you go along the length of the warp.
Can you
So
peek in
when
here?
she gets into some new sections, there's going to be all kinds of fabulous color changes and how they interplay with each other as you weave along and things change. We've got some other shit. Thank you.
Really
Yeah, this is really fabulous over here.
another rib. She hasn't gotten to her rep yet. But so this is just, all this is a heavy, look how heavy that is. There's a whole lot of thread. That's just a heavy weft is all that is, but she's getting all this wonderful texture and color.
All right, let's walk around the room. We can look at a couple more of these. So for me, and again, the colors are just amazing. And I hope I'm not going too fast and making anybody seasick. My camera's not as fancy as Marcelin's, but yeah. This just coming and visiting this class is so amazing, of seeing the colors and the warps and how different people combine them in different ways. Lee, is this your loom?
No,
No.
I'm upstairs with the Karen Dante.
We might have to, maybe we'll have to walk upstairs and see a little more. All right. You're on Zoom. Do you mind telling us a little bit about what you're working on?
I'm working on the warp that we are learning from Kathy.
So it looks like you've cut off and you're about to tie back on, or you
Well, I'm
just getting to
just getting
okay.
started to tie back on. So
Okay.
I've got my 3 warps here in different places. There's top warp and a bottom warp, essentially. And I'm just tying them on to start working.
Is this your first time at MAFA?
Yes, it is.
Are you having a good time?
Yes,
Isn't this class awesome?
it is. And I'm so glad I got into it because apparently it filled up. Very
It filled up in about 13 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see. We'll look at a couple more warps over here. So this is how all those started, was just with the different colored warps. I'm going to, let's see, I'm walking. Marcelin, I think you've got a bunch of video snippets from this building, so I'm not sure if I need to walk along and do many of the other studio tours, or do you know which ones I should?
That's right, I have. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a class at the very end of the hall that I did not get to today. It's the
Do you
very
remember-
last class in that hallway.
Remember
It's not the rep weaving class. It's not Anne's tapestry class. I don't remember the name. I have to look it up, but I remember that it was the very last one in that hallway.
Well, let's just walk down here and see. We have our visitors. They're checking out the classes. So people, this is what the studio tour is like. And we go in and we see everybody. We can wave. There's Anne. This is my class, which I have not spent much time in. We're walking. I don't know if anybody else knows that. That's from The American President, the movie, where the tour guide in the White House is saying, and we're walking. We're walking. Oh, you might have missed. This is Denise Kovnetz. Is this the one that you missed? Denise's class? Marcy, you still there? Whoops.
I'm here. I'm sorry. I was trying to get to a quiet area. I believe that's the one, Margaret.
Okay, so this is Denise Kovnat's class, and let's see if we can come up here and visit with Denise. Do you mind if we interrupt? We're on Zoom. We've got some folks at home and around campus. Do you mind if we talk to you for a minute? So could you tell us who you are and tell us a little bit about your class this week?
My name is Denise Kovnat, and my class this week is Echo and Jim, and it's playing with color chords. So it's based on the theories of Johannes Eaton and his color star. And we get into 4-end echo threadings. And there are templates where you can use certain colors that are an objective, I don't want to say a guarantee, but they give you results that are chromatic in your warp, and they can be very pleasing. So for those who are color challenged or consider themselves in need of greater, some kind of objective theory of color, 4-end templates from Eaton's Color Star are a starting point. So we're working with pure colors, and we're working with shades and tints in our warps. And then we also add wefts that either make those warps pop, so it's a 5th color, or don't work. And it's often that becomes something that's not objective. That becomes something that's trial and error. That's a sample-based, sample kind of effort. So
can we look at something on the loom
of
and
course,
then
go ahead.
yeah,
And
so
we're
how
learning about
this
color, and we're learning about echo and gin and double.
I'm not sure how well can you tell us what's going on this one?
Well, what's happening on this one, this is actually a double weave, believe it or not. It's called it's called integrated double weave. In other words, you really don't have layers that you can separate, but you are weaving 2 different pieces of cloth, 2 different layers. So what this weaver is doing on 4 shafts is weaving the top layer in a turquoise and the bottom layer here in a dark purple. And then she shifted the top layer to dark purple and the bottom layer in turquoise. This is a gin design. This may be an echo design. So her work is based on 4-color, probably more like a trapezoid of green, yellow, red, and blue. So there's 2 prongs. It's learning about echo on a 4-color parallel and learning about color. That's where we are.
And let's see, I'm going to just walk around and look at some of the patterns that people. So people did different drafts, and I think some have got 4 shafts and some have 8
Yeah, and
shafts,
some
right?
have 16.
Oh my goodness.
Let me show you one on 8 though. This is the most interesting, Margaret.
All right, we're walking.
This is Anne's, and Alex Hauser is the assistant in this class, and she gets a gold star, by the way.
Okay, good.
So this one is the a draft. Anne will have to forgive me. This is a draft that is on handweaving.net, known as snakeskin. So it's just an M's and W's, really, twill, or what you call a gabrakana. What I did was I adapted it by making a 4-end parallel, and then she warped it in 4 different colors. And in this case, she used sort of a deep teal for the weft. And any twill can be adapted for a 4-end parallel.
So my colors aren't, for everybody who's looking at this, the colors in person are so much more amazing than they're looking like on the screen. And also the iridescence of this cloth is just unbelievable. And seeing how some of those, the echoes really show up when you move the cloth.
But understand that the definition of iridescence is that colors pop, right? And typically against their complementaries, right? So we're seeing yellow pop and red here, but the complementary of red, for example, is green. So green is in the weft. I think we're getting some iridescence based on weft versus warp. It's
Well, and I
great
can tell
fun.
you on the screen, it's really, it's
Yeah.
really showing
Anne's
up.
gonna come tomorrow. Anne's gonna say, somebody undid my
Yeah.
somebody undid my loom. So
Blame it
anything
on the Zoom.
I'm gonna blame it on you, Margaret.
It was open
And
studio. We came in and started messing with her.
But anything on handweaving.net that is an M's and W's or some kind of twill can easily be adapted to a 4-end parallel.
Wow.
So
Thank you, Denise.
you're welcome.
All right, we're gonna walk on along. So again, I think you've hit the other classes. We've got some video that Mars put together that's got some of these other studios. And what I'm gonna do is work my way back down to my laptop, but I'm gonna have to turn my audio off before I get there. Otherwise, we're gonna have some pretty ferocious feedback. And then I'm gonna see if anybody else has joined us that wants to share their video. But the open studio.
I came downstairs, Margaret. So if you want me to share one more, I can.
Yeah, I would love that. And so you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna leave the meeting because I'm about to get back to my laptop, and so we don't have the feedback. So I'm gonna just leave, and then what I'll do is I'll spotlight you in about 10 seconds when I get back to the laptop.
Sounds good. You'll have to forgive me. My hands are full. So just give me one moment while I adjust here because I'm running a couple of cameras at a time. So here's where we are. I love a good hat project for any reason. So this caught my eye. Fabulous felt and Nuno felt hats. So before I disturb our teacher, I just have to show you what greets me as I'm walking in. This amazingness. Already texture, color, pattern. Oh my goodness. And special guest who didn't know they were going to be a special guest. Hello, Dawn. we're on Zoom and I was stopped by the name of your class and now I don't want to leave seeing some of the student samples.
Well, good.
Would you mind introducing yourself and telling the folks on Zoom what this class is all about?
I'm Edwards. I live in a small town in Southwest Michigan, and I've been felting for about 18 years. I love sculptural felting, wet felting, so I do a lot of hats and vessels, that type of thing.
Right.
These are some of the samples that I brought.
Oh my goodness. I'm not a church lady, but I'd become one to wear one of
Okay,
these.
well, you just let me
These
know.
are statement pieces.
So I brought more, more traditional, some 20s, 30s styles, and then these are, just fun, just fun and funky hats.
Yeah, you said sculptural. I can really
Uh-huh.
see that.
Yes, I was a potter for a number of years before I found felting, and
Okay.
so I find a lot of similarities between the two.
A lot of us that are makers tend to cross over in our
Right.
crafts, don't we?
Yes. we
That's
sure
wonderful.
do.
Would you like to show me a couple student samples?
Absolutely. So, this a hat that it hasn't been felted yet. It's all laid out, and tomorrow morning she'll begin rolling that to agitate the fibers, which will, of course, create the shrinkage for
Gotcha.
the felt. But she's added some beautiful silk and silk hankies, and all of that will be incorporated in the new housing process. Isn't it beautiful?
And what are some of these tools here? You mentioned rolling as part of it.
So anything that you do to agitate the fibers will help to felt piece.
Mhm.
So felting is really just movement of the fibers,
Mhm.
and the more that you agitate them, it causes it shrinkage. It gives us a wonderful felt.
And it's a dense fabric that can be shaped, it looks like. Oh, wonderful.
We just use, simple tools and wet felting. Up in and agitated by cooling. This is actually for me specifically for wet felting.
Mhm.
This adds more agitation to speed up the felting for the cells.
Mhm.
This is a ball browse. It was wet felting, or it's a wet felting tool originally designed for outside gardeners.
Oh, my.
It's a nice fine spray. We felt makers have taken over the market. Ball browse, probably 4 bonds like our no one thought of.
Suddenly there's a shortage that they can't figure out.
So to lubricate the fibers and help the water to sink in.
Excellent. I feel like you could work through a lot of things in a class like this. Just get really physical with this fabric and work through some things.
Yeah. Then some vintage hat blocks that the ones that had
Hey, Mars, we're having a
Yeah.
little trouble hearing Dawn's audio.
Okay, Dawn's audio may be low if my audio is low. Let's
Yeah.
see. Okay, Dawn is telling us about the hat, the molds, it looks like. Is that right?
Right. Yeah,
Okay.
so they're just called a hat block.
Okay.
They've been used for many, many years by milliners, and so in wet felting, we just cover those with plastic so that the moisture from the wet felting hat does not damage the block.
Okay. Excellent. So this is a class where even if you have experience with hat making or sewing or felting individually, bringing that all together is probably very new for your students, I would guess.
Some of them have actually taken workshops with Chris, who's at this table.
Yeah.
Taken a workshop with me and a couple of other students.
Gotcha.
So it's always fun to see, repeat students come back. I haven't scared anyone off yet.
No, I imagine not. In fact, I bet they're hooked at this point. Yeah, this looks great. And looks like you had a lot of students in class, which is always fun. Okay.
At least that's complete by the end of the
Awesome.
day tomorrow.
That's so great. Thank you so much, Dawn. I'm going to walk around just to show folks some more
Yeah.
examples. Thanks for
Okay.
sharing your studio with us. Can you hear me okay? Okay, excellent. I'm just gonna walk around. I think the issue might be that I put my headphones in and that's maybe dampening things, but you know, a picture's worth 1,000 words, they say. So can see what some of these students have worked on.
Take a look at this one.
Oh my. That is amazing. So there's a lot of shaping happening.
We're still trying a little bit, so we've still got pins in there with those.
The pins are to hold the shape, I think, right?
Yes, the little pleats and folds.
Oh, wow. Anybody out there inspired to give this a try? I hope so.
Oh, this is a red hatter who has made this.
A red hatter. Okay, let's see.
So for any red hatters out
Any
there-
red hatters out there? That is lovely. This is wonderful, Dawn. Thank you so much for being part of MAFA.
My pleasure. So this one's not washed yet. This is the one.
Okay, Margaret. So we got one more. Plenty of inspiration.
Keep going, keep going. Hey, I have a question while you're walking. Did you, somebody in the chat was asking for weaving 101. Is that on your video, or should I head up to 101?
So weaving 101, is that in Luke?
It's
I
in
was only,
Luke, second floor. That's the beginning weaving class.
I have not been on the second floor of Luke yet.
Oh, okay.
That would be great. I would actually enjoy that. Or I can come over if you want. I'm going to take my headphone out because I don't want anyone to have too much trouble hearing. So give me just one moment.
All right, so I keep asking for volunteers if anybody wants to share their video. If you're on the tour or in your studio working, just let me know in the chat and we'll just spotlight you for a minute. And I've already gotten some chats that people are relaxing back in the dorms. I have a feeling they might be drinking some wine, but you know, that happens. That happens.
You shape it more, and then from there, Dawn helps you do what you want to do to the ground. I make the rim like this.
Okay, Margaret, I'll be right there.
Okay. So does anybody have any questions about MAFA or what we're doing? I'm so glad because I'm looking at all the chats and people are so happy that we're doing the virtual. So this is interesting. This is our first time trying it. Obviously some technical challenges. So next time what I'm hoping to do is have somebody ready in each of the buildings to kind of do a walk around. And so we got something to build on for next time. But I'm so glad people are enjoying it. I mean, again, some people are actually here and just relaxing and watching. And I know some people are at home. I see hi, Kate. Yeah, so what's been interesting to me, because I kind of went on the Goodwill tour this afternoon, I walked around, I hit probably about 90% of the workshops. And it was really fun to talk to so many first timers that were just really having a great time. Here we go. Hi. All right, Marcy, you're muted.
I just got asked if I was the Zoom lady. I feel so special right now.
Yeah.
I said yes, of course. Hello, here's my friend Andrea. So folks have even driven to come and be part of Open Studio and see the marketplace. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't even know what class I walked into. I'm gonna find the instructor. Hang on one moment. I'm still in hash. Okay, thank you. She's actually showing some samples right now. I'm gonna get a close-up.
I'll get out of your red service. It's like a snowflake sequin. Okay. And so I made the boxes big enough for it to fit. But so when you put it in there, when you move your last.
So as your roving reporter, I'm gonna do an impromptu interview of a visitor to the event. This is my friend Kay.
Hi,
Kay, where did you drive over from?
I drove over from Central Jersey.
Amazing.
Took us about 2 hours to get here.
And what made you want to come to MAFA?
My friends called me up and said, hey, you want to do a day trip to the marketplace?
That'll do it. That'll do it every time.
Yes,
Well,
road trip always.
yes, I got the best hug from Kay. So thank you to those influential friends. Have you seen anything that really stood out to you so far in looking around?
There's been a lot of inspiration. I'm very geometrically inspired. The Tamari class with just the triangles and the 8 dimensions was just mind blowing.
I agree.
Some of the squares here where it's just it's squares and parallelograms and color play and vibes and frequencies and just everything all together. Like my brain is just overflowing with numbers and ideas and just
Yeah. Everyone knows now why I love you. So Kay is an amazing designer. So I imagine coming to something like this as a designer gets the brain waves going, right?
definitely, yeah.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad you're here. Thanks for letting me bother you for a bit. So I'm going to see if we can get our instructor for the class, who is, I'm cheating. It's Barbara. This is Barbara's class. Pardon the interruption. We're on Zoom and there's just some folks who wanted to meet you and hear about your class. Yeah, so tell us who you are and what you're teaching.
Okay, this is a block 12 class on the HS, and people are making stripe combinations of various color harmonies.
Okay.
And then weaving to my instruction different structures across it. One of them being a double weave box that they can insert a sequin in, and then it sparkles through the structure.
Okay. Can you show us some of your samples here?
This is a dish towel where the white squares are double weave. In order for a dish towel to be absorbent, you need more fiber. So this is a way of getting extra fiber into this towel to make it more thirsty.
Oh, I love that.
So this is a tensile scarf that has double weave blocks, and there's a sequin in the block which sparkles.
Look at that.
So that's interesting.
That's a little bit of bling. That's what the kids call it.
That's exactly right. And here's the towel with blocks. And you can see here, if you look very closely, that the structure changes in a different place from the striping. So it gives you a chance to have blocks with picture frames.
Beautiful word.
And then here's another scarf that
These
that
colors.
is that has the blocks changing in a different place from the colors. So it gives wide and narrow stripes.
This is beautiful, Barbara. Thank you so much for sharing with us. How's Open Studio for you so far? You get to see some other faces other than your students, right?
Oh, yeah.
Excellent.
Well, I've seen some old friends.
Oh, that's a bonus. Well, thanks for sharing some time with us. I'm going to walk around and just show some of your students work. So everyone would have known in my first day here that I was not a weaver because I started taking pictures of the back of the loom. So that's a fun fact about me. And I quickly learned, I picked it up. I got it right in time for our videos. I actually appreciate this as someone who hasn't been deep in the craft yet, because to me, it literally looks like magic. I love to hear how folks who maybe are weavers as their primary craft or their first craft are branching out too. That's been a lot of fun to see. Okay. We had a good crowd in here, so I think Open Studio is the hottest ticket tonight.
It is. And Mars, I've got somebody down in Robin Spady's studio. If I could just spotlight her.
Sure.
And then we'll come back to you. And then Kate, I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you if I could get you, because I've made you co-host. So I'm going to set up and spotlight Helena. Let me find her on the list. And Helena, if you want to go ahead and turn your, there she is. And what I'm going to do while Helena is showing us Robin's studio, I'm going to head upstairs for Weaving 101. So when she's done, Kate, if you don't mind replacing the spotlight and switching it to me, because I'm going to be upstairs and my laptop's going to be downstairs. Thanks, Kate. All right,
Hey
Helena, it's over to you.
everybody, I am in Robin's Spady studio and it's very exciting because people are doing things like all kinds of different structures, including corduroy over here, which is a weft pile weave, and also velvet, which is over here, which is a warp pile weave. And I thought this was pretty amazing. You can see the hookup at the back in order to have this warp pile weave work. And here's one with lots of open work. This workshop is called Pictures, Piles, Potpourri, and Perplexing Curiosities. And there are all kinds of fun things in here. It's a very large workshop. And people are doing all sorts of amazing looking things. We're over in SMAC on the lower level. And you should come by here and check this out if you are out and about. Here's another really cool open work one. Here's an interesting twill effect. This looks like spider wire. Someone's got their Seguin computerized loom here with all their laptop on the top. Here's another person doing velvet.
Hey, Helena, we've had a request for you to go just a little bit slower when you're
Okay.
when you're focusing on the weaving, so we get a chance for your camera to focus on it. Yeah, there we go. Thank you.
Yeah, I have to learn how to do this too, huh? This is a block design. This is a basket weave called Better Than Basket Weave. This is a very fine thread, looks like an overshot or kind of a pattern. Another block weave.
And I don't think I saved it done over time on Amazon or something.
This is great pictorial weaving. So it looks exciting. I'll switch you back to whoever wants to go next.
Well, can we say hello to Robin and see if she wants to?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Photo bomb. Hello.
Hey,
Tell us
Robin, we're on
about
the
this
Zoom. We're on the
class.
Zoom Open Studio tour.
So you want me to hear about the sort of like the Reader's Digest version of this class?
Yes.
Okay, this is a class called Pictures, Piles, Potpourri, and Perplexing Curiosities. And it is basically what I consider a tasting menu for weavers. So we have 12 different weaves we're doing, and it is to give people, especially the intermediate to advanced weaver, the opportunity to come in and try things they may have heard about, but may not have done. So everything from corduroy and velvet to Bidervon, PK, bead lino, Samatum, you know, these things that I've heard about it. Let me have a taste of it. And if I want to learn more about it, I can do that. Or I thought I might want to learn more about it. And now that I've done it, leave me alone. So we have 12 different samples
we have 23 people and we have 25 looms because this is round robin and people are moving from loom to loom. And I find it really helpful if you have more looms and people since something's always open.
Plus, can you
Thanks,
show me
Robin.
one of, can you show me one of the bead weaving ones?
The bead
Because
lino?
bead lino, yeah.
We have one right here. So this is bead lino, and the beads are used as a mechanical addition, and it helps the warp ends twist, and they're in front of the pedal and behind the reed. So depending upon how you interlace them, when you step on it, it will create a twisting in the warp. So here you can see where you have the plain weave area, and then this is the open area that does it. So this is something that people you could weave this in probably about 4 minutes. It weaves very quickly. It does a very nice open gauzy fabric that's very stable because of all that twist in it.
Thank you. Okay, Margaret, I'm going to turn it over to you guys.
Okay, and so Kate, I'm going to ask you to look for me. I'm under participants. This is Margaret's phone. And if you could replace the spotlight, and then I'm going to go in and visit the Weaving 101 class. Ah, here we am. All right.
And Margaret, I just as a heads up, I'm over in the art and design building. So if to keep sharing, I can help with that.
Okay, well, that's perfect. Let me do this and then we'll switch back to you when I'm done up here. And so here we are. This is Weaving 101 with Patricia Martin, who's a first-time instructor for us. So let's log on in here and see what's going on. So this is new and beginning weavers, and they're coming in here, some just starting from scratch, and they're weaving a twill scarf. And let's see if we can, so there are a lot of students in here and they've been making a lot of progress. I was in here earlier today. And let's come on over. Hey, Patricia, we're on the Zoom Open Studio tour, and I wonder if we could just get you to, I know, see, I surprised everybody. Could I just get you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your class and what's been going on?
I'll tell you about. I'm Patricia Martin. I'm actually from San Luis Obispo, California, Central Coast Weavers. And I have a great class of 15 people that have never woven before, and we're doing this together. So we're starting with cones of yarn, and we're going all through the warping process to threading, putting it through the reed, and we're going to weave 20 different samples.
20, wow.
Yep.
Okay.
They're all going to make a beautiful scarf. There's like 4 of them up there in different materials for you to listen.
So let's get, so everybody can see, we've got a whole bunch of looms and warping boards and materials all packed in here. Patricia, this is your first time teaching for MAFA.
For MAFA.
Yeah, so how's it been?
It's been great. We've had so much fun. This really is a good fun.
Good,
Yeah.
good. Well, and so one of the things that people don't realize, some of them, is everybody in Weaving 101 and Spinning 101 gets a scholarship. So we give them the MAFA budget actually covers a little bit of a gift certificate for them to go start buying. And I know people have been down there buying warping boards and shuttles and all sorts of good things. So
And warp and supporting the vendors in lots of different ways. It's been really a win-win. They are so excited and they can't wait to go home and try what they've just bought and use their new equipment. And it's been really fun to see them do that.
is there any looms with weaving on it? You want to show us what they're working on?
Angie's working on one right now.
Hi, Angie.
Hi.
Okay, let's see what you're working on.
This is my first time weaving on a loom, and I rented this one. So I'm trying to get ahead a little bit so I can finish it tomorrow. But it has been a really fun experience, and Patricia's been wonderful.
And is this your first time at MAFA?
This is my first time at MAFA, yes.
Oh, wonderful, good,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So for everybody who's not here, we had about 42% of our registrants this year were first timers. So for me walking around today, it's been really fun talking to people who it's their first time and they're hopefully having a good time.
It's been an amazing experience. And I came here by myself. I'm not currently a member of a guild, and everyone is just been adopting me everywhere I go. And I've always find somebody to eat a meal with, and I'm meeting so many fun and interesting and creative people. It's been a really good experience.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. You're the second person who said that they moved to the area and they weren't a part of a guild. But you know, the thing is, you're here with like 400 of your fiber friends. So I think, you know, we all tend to adopt each other. when
And we
we're at
have a
conferences
lot
like
to
this.
talk about and to share.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you
Yeah,
so
thank
much.
you.
All right, let's walk around, look at a few more of these looms, and then I think what we'll do is we'll go over and see what Marcia's doing. Marcia's over in Bridenstine, which is where all the dyeing classes are going, and some felting. See, up here, it's starting to get a little bit dark, so some of our light is fading in the classrooms. But we got some cool colors going on here. And we'll just look, see, they're all hard at work here. It's not even class time this evening, but some of them are really busy with things. So if Marcia's ready, then what we can do is Kate replace Spotlight and go on back to Marcelin, and let's see what's going on over in Bridenstine.
I'm getting there.
Take your time, Kate. I'm getting set up too.
Don't worry, the camera's not on me.
Or sulfonated indigo added to a little jar that put in there. So it's an indigo. It's just a different style of indigo. They only use 3 dyes to make those colors. And they'll end up with about 50 different colors. Some of them are pretty close to each other, but it's like.
Can you all still hear me?
Yes,
Okay, excellent. Am I good to go?
good to go.
All right, awesome. So this is a class called Natural Dye Color Wheel with Paula J. Vester. And I'm just going to let you know that I actually came into Paula's class yesterday. So there will be a video of Paula just teaching. I didn't get a chance to interview her. Maybe we'll get a chance to do that tonight.
Whatever happens with the indigo and the sulfuric acid makes it more teal than denim blue. And then the calcium carbonate neutralizes the acid and makes it possible for you to put stuff in it. So we call it sulfonated indigo these days. But I'm real proud of what they've done this weekend. They've done good.
Hi, Paula.
Hello there. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great.
I came to bother you. We're on Zoom with some of the folks who are just enjoying the virtual version of the Open Studio night.
Okay.
So I came into your class yesterday and had a really hard time pulling myself away. So if you wouldn't mind just telling us a little bit about this class.
All right. I'm fascinated with color fields, and I'm fascinated with natural dyes. So you put those two together, and your goal is to create a color wheel of either traditional color wheel or a color wheel of a monochromatic color wheel, or a range of colors that a particular dye create. So in this class, we use 3 primary colors. Osage orange makes yellow. Cochineal makes basically a red, magenta kind of color, and indigo makes blue. And with those 3 dyes, we make 15 samples that they can wind onto their color wheel.
Amazing. So speaking of the color wheels, you have them all laid out here. And I really want folks to appreciate what you were saying about some of the monochromatic shades that you can get.
Right.
And this is a product of what? This is a product of modifiers and mordants.
It's a combination. These over here that look like yellow greens, and they all have similar colorway. This is my obsession with finding my favorite green.
Okay.
And for getting close to my favorite green is here and over here. But I love them all. So this is my experiment of 40 shades of green.
Wow.
Because the most common natural dye is a yellow dye. So many things that you may not even think of make some kind of yellowish color.
Mm-hmm.
And so creating green requires a yellow and a blue. And you can create them by adding modifiers like copper or iron to them to create it. So these color wheels have similar patterns in that this is wool, cotton, wool, cotton, wool, cotton, all the way around to ending with wool. The first two, wool and cotton, are just dyed, and it doesn't matter which one, the one after the name of the plant is aluminum sulfate. And then I put all of these in an aluminum sulfate and pre-mordant, and then dye with clear citron for this one. Then I pulled this one out, put it in a jar and put copper.
Okay.
I pulled these two out and put iron. I pull these two out and do a dip in indigo. And this one is that sulfonated indigo, which is, we call it Saxon blue or sulfonated indigo, and it doesn't dye cotton, so there's no cotton sample. But all of these do the same thing. They travel around with that same pattern.
Excellent.
So that I can keep track of it because my brain seems to be losing. The other color wheels are either collections of red dyes that I've done over a summer. Some of them are actually other color wheel classes, like this was 2020. This one was 2022. You know, I've got different, and this is those 3 dyes to make the color wheel. 3 dyes to make the color wheel. And see how different. I was in Cleveland, Georgia, and people were putting everything in the pot, so everything came out
a little
pastel.
bit faint there.
And this is linen. These are cotton. This is cotton. And almost every yarn in these wheels are hand spun.
Amazing. Now, I was eavesdropping in your class, and there was something that you said toward the end of class about why you love this kind of exploration and how long you feel you'll be able to keep going because of what is available to you. Do you remember that?
I do.
That stuck
I
with
say
me.
Some version of that all the time.
I think you should share with our friends here.
Because I get excited when I start talking about color and dyes and the connection that it gives me with people of the past who have been doing this for thousands of years. And there is more for me to learn because we have forgotten more than I can ever rediscover.
Right.
And so I will just keep doing this as long as I can lift a dye pot and stir something into it and make a color.
Long may that continue, Paula. I think the folks that are watching and listening can tell why I had to tear myself away yesterday. I'd love to take a look at some of the yarns that your students have dyed. Look at this color palette.
This
Ooh.
is their work, and they've worked really hard at trying to understand my chaotic, let's add a little bit of this and let's add a little bit of that. And so we have created quite a color palette. These are cotton linen blends fabric because I've been teaching more quilters and other media artists.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're not just knitters or spinners or crocheters. So I want to allow them to take home with them whatever media they're going to use, not just say, okay, I learned how to do wool yarn. It happens to be my favorite.
Right.
I can't help it. I have a thing about sheep.
Same here.
So wool is my favorite, but I dye silk and I dye linen, hand woven linen. And then I want them to have that whole experience.
And some of your students have done both, which is really cool.
And they get a handout, which gives them all the recipes.
Wonderful.
And the things that say, I learned it this way 40 years ago, but this is what I do.
Yes.
I change things. So
wonderful.
Great people, great class.
I can just look at these colors and know that they have had a good time as your students.
Every time a color comes out, and I've been pulling yarn out of dye pots a long time, I get excited.
Yes, we've got a viewer that's saying this is so inspiring, and I agree. Thank you for letting us spend a little bit of time in your studio.
For visiting.
I have one more piece to share with you all because this to me is a culmination of experience, artistry, beauty, aesthetics. Check this out. Coat of many colors, all natural dyes. I was amazed by this, Paula. Thank you so much for this good work. We appreciate it. I'm gonna sleep over. I'm gonna sleep over here.
All right.
Anybody's looking for me tomorrow, come to the Natural Dye Studio.
I've got a couple classrooms here if you want me to hit one of those while you're walking.
Sure.
Kate, do you want to replace Spotlight and come back to me on Margaret's phone, and then I'll go through a classroom, and then we can go back to Mark's. Okay, here we go. I'm here with a whole bunch of people in blue. We're gonna walk in here. So I am going to. Oh, here we go. This doesn't look like plain weave with Karen Dondy. And Karen, we're on the Zoom Open Studio tour, and I wonder if we could get you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the class and maybe show some of your students' work.
Sure. I'm Karen Dondy. I'm from Asheville, North Carolina. This workshop is based on the idea that there are a lot of weaves out there that have plain weave as their foundation, and they may sound complicated and scary. If you break them down to the plain weave components, they're a little less so. They come with more familiarity. So that's the whole idea.
Can you tell us for our non-weavers what you mean by plain weave?
Plain weave is simply over under one, under one, over one, under one.
Okay, so if you've made a pot holder in summer camp, then you've done plain weave.
Exactly.
Can you show us some of your samples and tell us a little bit about what they've been working on this week? There we go.
Several different things, and there is a mix of 4 shafts and 8 shaft weaves. So the 4 shaft weaves, these are 8 shaft huck lace, but I also had a 4 shaft huck lace, which I don't seem to have a sample of, but it's on the loom. M's and O's, which is a 4 shaft weave. This is a 4 shaft double weave. And we have in the workshop, we actually have 8 shaft double weave.
And so what you might not be able to see on Zoom, this has got stuffing in it. Yeah. So there's padding. It's 3-dimensional.
You can weave 2 layers double weave with just 4 shafts. Then you go into, this is a 4 shaft weave. This is called integrated plain weave. The threading looks like a point twill, but it's actually 2 plain weaves weaving together. This is Vitervon. And it was during the weaving of this scarf, which took me forever, that I decided maybe I could turn the draft and it would go faster. So that's led to all the study I've done with turned Vitervon. And those samples are over here, a lot of different ones.
And in fact, I think that's the scarf that you're wearing,
That
isn't
is
it?
the scarf I'm wearing.
All right, so let's show everybody close up.
I call this one tiny blocks because Vitervon can be a bit blocky, but if you just make the blocks smaller, you get a lot more variety. This was turned Vitervon made into a jacket.
That's got a little sparkle in it that
It
might be a little
does.
hard for the
It's
camera to
yeah,
pick up. But
it
in
is hard to
person-
photograph.
Yeah, see, it's getting dark here, so
Yeah.
we're losing our light. But that's got a nice sheen to it as well.
Yeah.
And you've got some.
This is deflected double weave with differential shrinkage. So one layer doesn't shrink, the other layer does shrink. You arrange it in a pretty block pattern, you wash it, and then you wash it again until it shrinks up like you'd like it. And the shrinking yarn puckers up the non-shrinking yarn.
So if everybody, I don't know if you can see this, there's quite a bit of texture and depth
that
on
one,
this.
I think this sample actually was left in the dryer, maybe a little too long. This is another smaller sample of that. On my website, I have a garment called Bubble Wrap, which was probably my most successful experiment with this. So,
Can you show us some of the students' work?
Sure,
And let's
absolutely.
see what they've been doing.
so we've got everything from honeycomb, and this really won't take its honeycomb shape until it comes off tension and gets washed. But this is outlining plain weave blocks, and there's some very long floats in here. And when it comes off the loom, these outlining threads want to slide down into these floats, and they make curves and make a honeycomb structure.
And this is 4 shafts?
That's 4 shafts.
Yeah. See, people get the idea that you can't do anything complicated in weaving unless you've got, you know, mega
not true.
million shafts
Not
or
true
not.
at
And
all.
there's so much.
This
going
is
on
M's and
before.
O's. This is another one that will change its shape once it gets washed. It's probably hard to photograph that one
Yeah,
too.
so the threads that are crammed together here, they'll behave differently than
Yeah,
the ones
they
that are
will.
interlacing.
They will, because it's a rib weave, so they're going to kind of pull together and they'll make shapes. And it's called M's and O's. I guess the ribs are the M's, and then once it shrinks, these become the O's.
Much rounder,
Yeah,
yeah.
the plain weave areas.
Yeah, this is one of the interesting things about doing like deflected double weave is what you're seeing when you're weaving is sometimes very different from when it all shrinks and combines. in.
Absolutely. This is double weave windows. So double weave, and this is on 8 shafts. So when you have 8 shafts, you can exchange the layers both vertically and horizontally. The windows design just surrounds one of the layers with a complete line around. It's a border. It's a very popular double weave pattern. If you introduce colors into one of the layers, you get different effects. If you introduce a shrinking yarn into one of the layers, you get more. It's just fun to play with.
So using a painted warp or
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's I'm sure most of your viewers have seen that. This is the same weave, but the colors are reversed.
Okay.
That's also M's and O's, just a
All
pink
right, we
color.
got that.
When I do
Ooh,
a
here's-
round robin, I try to put the same structure on multiple looms so it doesn't get too slow. This is 4 shaft huck lace.
So this is another one that's going to look very different when it's wet finished and things move around and shape.
Exactly.
So yeah, for non-weavers, sometimes it looks a little flat when it's on the loom, but it gets quite a bit of texture once it's washed.
Absolutely.
Fun.
This is turned Vitervon. So this was that red scarf where I decided to turn the draft. When Vitervon itself is a 2 shuttle weave, a ground thread alternating with a pattern thread. So when you turn the draft, all that has to happen in the work. So you end up with 2 works.
Right. I'm trying to zoom in for people because what you can't see very well is this purple is actually 2 colors. So that's actual plain weave with sort of a magenta and a purple in there.
Yeah.
It's not just a solid.
And what's showing on the surface here is what I call the ugly side, the back side.
Oh.
And I do that because it lightens the lift. With a few shafts, it's not a big deal. You get more shafts in it, then it gets heavy.
All right, so
here's
here's
the
our
pretty
pretty
side.
side that's wound on the cloth.
Yeah. And with table looms, you don't get a good look at that till it comes off, but it's just a really clean block weave. Looks a lot like double weave, but isn't quite double weave. But there are areas of 2 layers in here. So I like it.
Oh, and here we go. Here's some
Here's
deflected
some
double
deflected
weaves.
double
Sorry, my camera's flipping around for those that are watching. I'm trying not to make everybody seasick. So this is another one I've done. So you have basically 2 different layers of cloth that are interweaving with themselves.
Exactly. So the gray weaves with the gray. So you see there are little squares of plain weave here and here and here. And they alternate with areas of floats. And the floats either go of one layer, either go on top or on the bottom based on how you arrange the tie-up to weave and how you do the treadling.
So I'm trying to zoom in so you can see, here's this purple cloth is coming over top of the gray cloth. And so sometimes gray's on top and sometimes purple's on top.
Yeah. And as Margaret said, when you wash this, everything, all of those floats give room for the plain weave threads to move. So they shift and they turn and they twist and they go, they just find space, elbow room, if you don't want to say it, and they start to curve and make interesting.
Yeah, sometimes you get very round things that something that you wove square and yeah. It's beautiful.
And often the backside is completely different from the front side. So you get two-sided cloth. This is another turned Beidervon loom with different colors. So this one has like a pink and a red alternated in the pattern work.
That's got so much texture going on.
Yeah.
Wow.
This was a fun one. I'm going to show you this one. These are the same structure. This is called integrated plain weave. I learned this in a workshop with Robin Spady. And it solved a problem for me because this is two different yarns interlacing in warp and weft at different rates. The back, there's a thin yarn that is twice as dense as the pink yarn or the pattern yarn. And what this allows me to do is to feature a very special yarn I don't have much of. And I can maximize its potential because it's sitting right on the top. And I can make a little of it, make a big impact with that.
And
really
use something for
special
the
yarn.
ground cloth that's less
Exactly.
precious.
Exactly.
Wonderful.
Exactly.
Karen, thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thanks, Margaret. I'm glad you came in.
Yeah, we've got about 50 people on the Zoom meeting and they're just loving the
awesome.
virtual tour. So
Good.
thank you. All right, Kate, if you want to switch back to Marceline and see what else is going on in Bridenstine.
Welcome.
I am in the only class that I didn't make it in our session earlier. So this is weaving for felt.
All right,
So selfishly, I'm happy.
Let's get the spotlight switched. We're still on me. Whoops. Did we lose it? Kate? Ah, there we go. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. We are in weaving for felt, and actually, we just hit a studio rush. So folks have discovered where to come for the color. I'm going to let Jerry have a moment of visiting with some folks and just take you around to some of the samples, because this is really, really good stuff. As you can guess with felt, the texture may not be coming through on the camera, but it is really cool to see how the different pieces of material pop off of this fabric. There's quite a few samples, or not samples, I should say, there's quite a few student work set out. Maybe they're having a little drawing time, possibly. I always say red is my power color, so I'm drawn to this especially. Quite a few of these pieces have some lovely fringe, like this one. I don't want to touch it too much, but some beautiful fringe on a lot of these. A little zhuzh. Here's a lovely one that looks like a beautiful set of colors together. So there's a buzz going in here, lots of interest. I'm going to snag Jerry just for a moment so that she can tell us a bit about the class. You can just see the wheels turning with folks here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there a sample of what the result of this process is separate?
So these are finished ones.
Yeah.
Oh, God, sample over here.
Now we're just eavesdropping. The question that was asked is to see an example of before the felting.
Yeah, roll it under tension off of the loom. You can't let go of it at all. You have to keep it under tension. Roll it off, unroll it on the bubble wrap, and then shingle wool wherever you want. This is-
Okay.
This is, we use merino, and you pull out the wool. Right. And then this is this full width. This is the
Right, right,
after,
yeah.
so we're going for 30%.
Wow,
Okay.
yeah.
Now, this, the width is different, but
Yeah.
the length is different, but the
Mhm.
width
Uh-huh.
is that. And then this is another before and after.
So then so this is, so on there, it looks like the
So-
felt is underneath it. So
Because she's has it stabilized enough and we turned the whole
Oh.
piece over so she could work it from the front.
Oh,
And you
okay.
work it from both sides.
Okay.
And you know, use
Yeah,
hot
yeah.
water and soap.
Yeah,
and
I've done
roll-
some
okay.
felting, but I've never done it where I added. Yeah, that's
Is she
cool.
gonna
I like
turn
that.
these edges under or is she gonna leave that this way?
You know, that's a design thing. She can't turn them under at this point, but that hasn't got 30% shrinkage yet, so they're gonna pull in a little.
Okay.
more.
Okay.
But you know, we discussed that, how you wanna look, how you want it to look. So she's gonna have it more organic, but it is gonna pull a lot closer, when she finishes.
It's beautiful.
So,
It's really beautiful. Oh, I know. I've done a lot of felting and I've done needle felting and wet felting and all kinds of stuff. And I actually did this with, there was a yarn a while ago that was, it was, big holes in it. It was like cut about two that was cut well. So then I laid it out and felted between it. But I didn't think of felting on one side. I would have been afraid it wouldn't last because it was acrylic.
Let's sneak over and look at some of the wools that are being used. We've got another rainbow palette, rainbow-ish palette here that greets the students as they walk in. Some really nice looking wool, different shades here.
I tell them, you know, what worked one and do not.
Here's the technique used in some garments. This looks like a vest. It feels amazing.
Who would ever thread something this far?
Right.
Here's
And you
another
do
one
need to
underneath.
see the samples.
And somebody wove mirrors.
Embellished.
You did that?
This is a 20s too. This was so frustrating to weave a 20s too. It was like at 10 ends to the inch. And boy, was that hard to beat in, you know,
To not beat in too much.
And so then I unrolled that and I put the mirrors down and then I put felt, I used actually pre-felt on this and laid them just here. And
Pre-felt, like felt it was
So-
started already?
Yes, so I made a big piece of pink felt and then I cut it in strips. Got it enough that it didn't shrink yet, but it was holding together. So these guys over here are in the pre-felt state.
Okay,
And that's, you know, that's when it's holding together before it shrinks.
okay. I gotta run to catch my group, but I'm
Okay.
loving this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
You
so
play
much.
with that on your own.
I think I will.
Good.
I'll bring it next time to show.
Spoken like a great instructor. I love that. Hi, Jerry. We're visiting with some folks on Zoom who are doing a kind of a virtual open studio with us. And I have to tell you all that Jerry told me when I came in that she's got a special thank you. She's got a shout out she wants to do. So I'm going to let you do that first. Yes.
It's MAFA movies night, MAFA movies night. And so thank you for doing that. I saw your picture up there that you joined the Zoom meeting and I've been coming to those and they're fun.
So thank you, Kate. So Jerry, how has class been for you this week?
You know, it's so inspiring. I learn more from my students because they pick colors and weave structures and yarns I'd never use. So I get to see all of that. You know, and this is such a well-organized group. It's just been really a lot of fun.
It shows in the work. We just had a view of some of the students' work and I am so impressed. What's something that you try to offer them as part of the class, since it's something that you do often and maybe for some of them it's new?
We have to, give them a warp to wind.
Okay.
And so use as many different kinds of yarn as you have. And that's really hard for people to wrap their head around.
Sure.
So they have to wind, it's just it's 74 ends, so it comes
Wow.
out even.
Mm-hmm.
And then they bring it to class and I show them samples. And then they thread the loom in a way they would never do before. So they always ask what the set is and
Right.
what damp reed they need. And you don't have a set.
Got it.
And you don't, anything, any size reed that will fit through whatever yarn you bring.
Right.
So you can leave 1 and 2 and 3 inch gaps in it. And then when you beat it in, you have to just barely gently beat it in. to keep
And
that
that's leaving
spacing.
space.
Mhm.
Because I saw you explaining about the expected shrinkage earlier. So you need to allow for that in the original piece.
So if you leave this big a gap in it, by the time it shrinks, 30% is gonna be this big.
Right. That makes
So on
sense.
On this one piece right
Mhm.
here, where she's putting circles on the back of it.
Oh,
You have to go back and make the circles bigger. And that's a whole nother thing to wrap your head around, because you lay it down the way, you're designing it as you go. You have to think this is the before stage. So if you want to circle this size, you have to put it this size.
I
to
see
do
what
the
you're saying.
shrinkage. So there's a lot to wrap your head around in this. It's a very different way of thinking.
I sort of like that you just shake them up right from the beginning.
If they're willing to do it.
Yes.
They're brave and they want, and several of them said, this was something different. And,
Yes.
and I think a conference like this really brings out, people wanting to try something different.
Sure.
It's a safe place.
And that's a gift you're giving them, to see something a bit differently and take that home.
And the organizers of this, they do all the work and then they give me a page.
Yes, and you get to do fun things for a few days. I love it. Well, I know they appreciate you and this work. I know your students do too. Thank you for spending a little time with us. It's fun to just be in here amongst all this color and texture.
It sure is. I love that part about it. It was tons, I'm just a texture person.
So am I. It's that extra piece of our fiber arts. So I love it too. Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate you.
Thank you too. It's real nice of you to do this.
It's my pleasure. I feel like I'm the lucky one. Yes.
The teacher of this.
We get a lot. We get a lot. I'm hoping that some of you are feeling very much inspired. We're all going to have trouble sleeping tonight with all the ideas buzzing. So that's it for us over here at Bradenstein, Margaret.
Well, and what I'm thinking, it's about 8:45, and if people have a little bit more energy, what we can do is go ahead and show the first. So everybody, this is part 1 of the video compilation that Marcia's put together. And I think you said it's about what, 15-20 minutes?
It's it. Yes, just over 20 minutes. Yep.
Okay, so if anybody has to leave, we're recording this whole thing, so you'll be able to see the Zoom. And the other thing is, this is on Marcia's YouTube. So give me a couple of days, because tomorrow's going to be a little crazy with us all packing up and everything. And hang on, I'm going to spotlight myself. So give us a couple of days, because it may be maybe until I get home, but we'll have links to Marcia's YouTubes. We'll have the Zoom recordings and all that good stuff for everybody. And I see some thank yous. Everybody, you are welcome. This has been so much fun. And what's been funny is watching everybody walking through behind me. I'll tell you who I just met upstairs was the conference coordinator for the very first MAFA conference in 1981, the very first MAFA president, and they just strolled by me. So we were just having a nice little chat in the hallway up there. And here they are 42 years later. So that was really amazing to meet them. So if you all give me a second, let me make sure I've got the YouTube queued up. It's not started. All right, hang on a sec. And I'm gonna remember to share sound. All right, bear with me a second. All right, so we'll play the video again. If anybody needs to leave, thank you for being here. Good night. And we'll have links up as soon as we can. Thank you. All right, hang on.
Welcome friends to a special bonus episode of the Hey Brownberry podcast. This is actually a feature specifically for the Mid-Atlantic Fiber Association Conference, which is taking place here at Millersville University in Pennsylvania. I'm about to show you a workshop day experience here at MAFA 2023, and it's my pleasure to take you into some of the classes so that you can meet the instructors, some of the students, and see their beautiful works in progress as they're learning here at the conference this year. So let's get right to it.
Hi, I'm Ann Choi. I'm teaching a workshop called Creating Texture and Manipulating Space in Freeform Tapestry Weaving. And in my class, what I hope to offer my students is a chance to play with their creativity, and a chance to play with fibers, play with wool, to get their hands into the materials and fall in love with their own making.
And I'm teaching a class here at MAFA called the Shifted Warp and Cot Scarf. I taught at this class at a virtual conference 2 years ago, and here I am in person doing it. So what is ECOT? It is a resist dye technique on individual fibers, and then the individual fibers are woven into a very painterly form of cloth. I think it's I call it the painterly technique for taking weaving off the grid and making very lyrical and beautiful examples. You haven't messed up. You haven't messed up at all.
You've been to MAFA before. How many times is this for you?
Well, I first attended, I think, in 2019 in person.
So, but then I've been participating virtually ever since. So now I'm back. So I don't know, this is my second in person.
Excellent. And how was the virtual experience for you?
The virtual experience was fabulous. I did a variety of seminars and incorporated them into my work, and I'm happy to do in person is fabulous, but also virtual is fabulous.
Wonderful. And one more question. What made you choose this particular class?
Well, I do a lot of warp shifting and a lot of dyeing, and I've done weft ECOT before, but I was really excited to learn about Mary's process of not only ECOT, but also warp shifting.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks for being part of our virtual visit.
Thanks.
Normally I touch my sides all the time. Here I'm not. You're doing a really good job with that, actually, because this, for my folks who have started in this class, the thing that I hear weavers worry the most about is their sewings. Yeah. And it's natural, when I was talking to you yesterday, the thing that we want to do is we want to draw each pick weft down parallel with the fell line of our weaving to make our edges really, really smooth. Right. And in Sori, as a matter of initial practice, we don't care. If you get to the point where you're like, that gives me joy, that makes me happy, I'm not making myself and just cleaning for someone else, I'm doing it for me, awesome. But if you're doing it, if it starts to worry you or fret you and it's not fun, in Sori, we don't care. And I showed you guys that skirt that I made, and it's got wonky selvages all over the place. Also, if you're using multiple weights of yarn at once in one piece, your selvages are going to be different anyway, because the amount of yarn that goes around the selvage is going to be different, just by a matter of physics. Sorry, and physics does come into art history, just like mathematics does. Anybody who ever tells me they're not good at math or science, I always say, well, you're doing it anyway. So,
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. Science, technology.
May I observe just a little bit?
Sure, good luck. I have no idea where I'm going. I'm just going.
Whatever you're doing, it's working. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Is this your first time at the conference?
It's my first time at the conference, but I'm not new to Sayori. Although I feel new. I guess every time is new.
I'm just immediately drawn to how colorful it is.
Thank you. Yeah. So this fiber is end pieces of Indian saris. It's scraps of Indian sari ribbon.
What a clever use of beautiful
Isn't it
fabric.
fabulous? Yeah. So I was drawn to it for the color, and I love the texture of it. So
beautiful.
Yeah.
What do you like about this particular weaving style?
Freestyle. Yeah, it's anything goes. It's it's wherever the fabric takes you.
I love that.
Which is where it's at.
Enjoy. It looks great from here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It'll look even better once I add all my embellishments and.
Oh, more to come. Okay.
Oh, this is the conference coordinator. And they're still here and they're just walking around.
Yeah, that'll be you one day.
Yeah, another.
Just walking around, having a good old time.
It's like because it was the middle of the pandemic, we kind of blew right by the 40s.
So my name is Q. I go by Q. I got there after James Bond and before Star Trek. My full name is Elizabeth Quisenberry Words, but obviously that's a lot to carry around. So these days I go by Q.
I like that.
Huh? I'm telling you. The name of the class is Exploring Freestyle Weaving. And what I'm hoping my students will get out of this class is permission to play and to weave what makes them happy without feeling like they have to pay attention to the fiber police. I want them to, because that's the thing. I want them to feel like they can weave something that makes them happy, that gives them joy for their own artistic, creative satisfaction. And I hope that they also come out of the class believing what I know to be the case, which is that they have a creative, artistic part of themselves. let go of the idea that what's supposed to come out of us is supposed to be perfect according to somebody's standard. Standard, by the way, probably developed by somebody almost certainly dead at this point. Often male, depending on what environment you're in, which is something I would totally say if this class was more than one apparent gender. Often white, and often from a very particular background, you know, and so that's a lot of standards of perfection that don't even come out of the tradition that most of us inhabit. So, you know, perfection as a goal has a lot of problems, and obviously I am embracing the imperfect.
Need anything more? No, just if this is it. Yeah. And here's what all your answers were.
It's just below minimum, so I would put some.
Get close here.
And you can throw those two.
Okay.
Oh,
And she's running out. She needs to. Yes. She needs to do the.
oh, you're welcome.
Ready to buy?
Suggestion.
Yes. One less time.
One of the two that if you
because I'm twisting.
Yes.
So there's like diagrams. Okay, so I take in my hand.
It really helps because
But you want to know it.
you know, in March, you know, here now.
So I want it up on the bottom.
As long as you know how you see your worth, there you go.
And then I take one out. So
Oh, thank you.
just take 2 threads out.
One.
Where is this? Maybe
In Columbus. But you have to be.
Hi, I'm Terry Flynn, and Japanese braiding on the takadai appealed to me originally because I'm a weaver, and this is weaving. However, weaving is perpendicular threads, and braiding is oblique angled threads. And so on my loom, I am hampered by how many harnesses I've got. But on a takadai, you can move any thread. So you can create braids from things that are familiar to weavers, like log cabin and twills and things like that. But you can also do double braids with pickups, with very complex patterns in them, like Japanese calligraphy, if that's your thing. But you can also do three-dimensional weaves. Like leaves that come up off the surface. So, and it's just wonderful, waving your hand through the threads, it's swinging the bobbin through. It's right brain, left brain, right brain, left brain, which is very subtle.
Very tactile. Thank you for sharing, Terry. I appreciate that. It's going to be hard not to just hang out in here with you. Why did you decide to take this particular class?
Well, it's kind of funny. I was at a MAFA many years ago,
and somebody had one of these set up and they had a braid on it, and I walked by and they let me try it, and I bought it. And then I went home and haven't used it because I didn't know what to do with it. So when I saw this class, I absolutely had to take it.
Very cool.
And Terry's a great teacher. This is being a lot of fun.
Excellent. And so for those who haven't seen this before, like I haven't, what is this type of loom?
This is a taki dye. It's really a Japanese braiding loom.
Okay, excellent. Very cool. Thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you.
Do it and it just like, wow, I've done it. You may never do it again because it does tend to be somewhat impractical. But just the beads, this I use for 5-2 cotton. So if you want to take some home with you, this is what. Curiosity. This is what we have.
Hi, my name is Debbie Todhunter, and this class is Love Ropes, Miniatures, and More. And most weavers, when they come to weaving, they come because of overshot. But you can't really have a class on overshot because there's so large, complex patterns. That's why the idea of the love rugs in miniatures. And we're studying the works of Josephine Estes and Bertha Gray Hayes, who made miniature patterns and in two totally different directions to do it. And so this way people go home with not only an experience with overshot, but an experience, they have, instead of samples, they have love rugs, they have something useful, and they learn a whole lot of other treadling variations and blended weaves and other things, and that's the main part. I just enjoy seeing the joy on people's faces as the patterns appear and they feel like I can do this, and they have something to go home with, they can reproduce at home.
My name is Annie Valerio. I'm from Southern New Jersey, Third Star Fiber Guild, and I've had a fantastic experience so far. A little anxious in the beginning, but Debbie, our instructor, has made me feel very comfortable. This is a round robin, so I'm using around 15 different looms, and that's what caused my anxiety because I barely know my own loom. But it's really been a great experience, not only with different patterns, but with different looms, and I'm really glad I came, having a great time.
Fantastic. And you're a first timer, right?
Yes, I am.
That's excellent. Well, it looks good to me so far, and thank you for sharing. To have the experience you're having right now. It's awesome. Gorgeous pattern.
Oh, see, I just. In there, I see.
Hi, I'm Karen Stevens, KZ Stevens, and today we are doing a 1-yard shirt, or some people have adapted it to a tunic or a dress, but the idea was to it's all hand sewing, so we're either refreshing our hand sewing skills or we're learning hand sewing skills and learning about some different seam techniques, and also just trying to be as creative as we can with fabric and with thread, so it's very open-ended and you can really design the shirt how you want with just 4 simple rectangles. And so everyone's doing something a little different, and it's a lot of fun.
Having a good time?
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
Down to your back stitch.
We could sing. We can have sing along. One of Al's shirts I noticed
There.
Whose fabric is that? Annie Yarrow. That's the junction. Yeah. Okay. This is the shoulder. Yep. Yeah. Okay, cool. This is a Annie Yarrow pattern.
And you may have a bump or something.
Hi, I'm Jen Weber. I'm here teaching Introduction to Japanese Tamari at MAFA 2023. And I want my students to get out of this class, I want them to leave with a sense of confidence that they can do this craft because it looks way harder than it is. And everyone comes in thinking, oh, I can't do that. And I want them to know, yes, they can, and they sure are.
I love it.
And I do think the second thing I want them to take away is just having a great time. We have so much fun at MAFA, and we have so much fun together, and we're laughing and we're creating, and it's a wonderful time. So thanks for having me.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I did something wrong.
With 4, so like this one is new to me. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. Not at all. I am. It's like I'm getting the whole experience, right?
Should I just take it the whole way off and give it a longer?
Top. What else am I supposed to say?
What would you like your students to get out of the class?
Drafting a pattern and sewing a garment.
Perfect. Thanks.
All about absolute half. Like the 3/8 came from the max you could do on the monster.
What I'm thinking is, now that I've taken 12 out, I should have cut off seam allowance.
I think you could just work with this line and ignore, like basically this line is moving out and then you'll be adding seam allowance, which will put you onto the new page.
I'm having a good time playing roving reporter on these workshops. I hope you're enjoying it too. What you've seen so far is weaving, braiding, sewing, ways of using fiber, fabric, and thread to create beautiful materials. And the next set of workshops is going to be a bit different, very colorful. I won't spoil the surprise, but I hope that you will sink into the experience that these students and instructors are having together. I'll see you in the next bit.
So you have diabetes and your glucose is heading.
No, hey, everybody. Oh, we do still have 36 people. Okay, I'm here with Catherine Weber. We've got 36 people still on. And yes, people, you do see a tiara. I have my little subtle tiara. I don't have Miss Universe on tonight. So yeah, see, all kinds of people are here. Let's go back on gallery. Let's see who else is here. I'm gonna take myself off. Spotlight.
Hey, everybody.
You guys, everybody unmute. Feel free. You know what? We're about done for this evening. So if anybody wants to unmute, turn your video on and
with us. Tell us something.
Hello. This was wonderful, this video. Really enjoyed it.
Are you here or are you at home?
I'm home. I was there this afternoon, did the vendors, and then just totally exhausted. So came home and started at 7 o'clock to watch the virtual tour. So
Great.
this was good.
All right, I see some other people. I see Sue Ann. I know she's here. We've got some
Hi
other
there, Miss
people.
Margaret. Yep, we're sitting in the dorm.
And are we having some refreshments? Yep, there we go. Okay, no, don't tell anybody at Millersville you've got that. So everybody, thank you so much for being here. Give me a chance to get home and maybe get a night's sleep, and then we'll work on getting videos and links and everything posted a little bit later next week. But does anybody else have anything else to say or want to share anything about the conference? We'd love to hear about it.
Do we need to strip our beds and all in the morning?
You know, that's a good question. I usually do, but just leave it right there on the bed. And so for people who are here, yeah, check out, you'll basically just take your meal card key and your room key back to the same place you picked it up.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.